That sounds like my cue. Welcome to Together Women's Rise April webinar. My name is Betty Perky Huck, and I'm delighted to host tonight's event. I'm a regional leader for the Rocky Mountain region and the Southwest region, and a chapter leader for the Sedalia, Colorado chapter. Tonight's Together Women Rise has many local, forget it. I'm looking and I'm not seeing me as the speaker, I'm seeing someone else, and that's throwing me off. But anyway, Together Women Rise has many volunteer leadership opportunities at the local, regional, and national levels. As one of the many hundreds of volunteers, over the past 10 years, I know it makes me feel so good to be part of an organization making a difference. So we always welcome new volunteers. We're going to have an interesting and enjoyable evening tonight. For those of you who are maybe not too familiar with Zoom, you notice that we have a mute button on the lower left, and you can mute or unmute, but we would prefer that you stay muted, because if you don't, sometimes we get bad feedback or noise. You obviously know where the chat button is because you've already done that, and we appreciate you entering where you're from, and if you're new to Rise. In the upper right-hand corner, there is a view button that you can put to either have the speaker or gallery, and you can swing back and forth, whichever you would like to do with that. It is so exciting tonight to see so many smiling faces and so many people here as part of this. I know we'll probably have some new people joining us tonight, so before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about us being Together Women Rise. It's a powerful community of women and allies dedicated to achieving global gender equality. We have dedicated women in hundreds of local chapters across the United States. Members learn about gender equality issues and support grants to organizations that empower women and girls in low-income countries. Those chapters also build community to forge meaningful connections to each other and with women and girls around the world as we become agents of change. For those of you who are new, you'll be interested to know there are many ways to get involved with Together Women Rise, or Rise as we sometimes refer to it, and become part of our community. You can join one of our local chapters, or you can start your own chapter. We also have a book club that has discussions. We have a travel program where you can go and see our work firsthand, or you can become an advocate and work with your local representatives. This is our monthly national webinar. It's open to anyone who cares about global gender equality, as we do, and who wants to learn more about our organization. Each month, Together Women Rise features a project that addresses one of the many challenges faced by women and girls in low-income countries around the world. We award these projects a featured grant of between $35,000 to $50,000. At this national webinar and in chapters all across the country, we learn about the challenges and how the project will help women and girls and global gender equality. This month, we're partnering with Second Mile Haiti. It focuses on solving the systemic problems of acute malnutrition of children in Haiti. Second Mile Haiti uses a caregiver-centered approach to meet the immediate needs of malnourished children, and then it invests in women through education, support, skill building, and income-generating business activities. They also focus on community education. These three interventions ensure the long-term health and economic well-being of families and helps break the cycle of poverty in Haiti. This project addresses 6 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, including number 1, no poverty, number 2, zero hunger, number 3, good health and well-being, number 5, gender equality, number 8, decent work and economic growth, and number 10, reduced inequalities. We're going to start with a short video about the project. I have to tell you, my chapter met earlier in the week, And we listened we were very, very interested, and we kept asking, well, what about, but every time we thought of something that they may not have covered, they had covered everything. Their systemic approach takes care of everything, and it's very, very impressive. So we will watch the video, and after the video, I will introduce our guest speaker.
Haiti, a beautiful island country located in the Caribbean, was originally inhabited by the indigenous Taino people. Today, instead of being known for her beauty, Haiti is often remembered for the years of political turmoil, detrimental foreign influence, and a series of catastrophic disasters, including the 2010 earthquake, the deadliest in the 21st century. What remains in Haiti is a fractured health system, chronic food insecurity, and the highest rates of poverty in the Western Hemisphere. The impact on women and girls is devastating. 1 in 25 children do not live past the first 6 weeks of life, and 1 in 10 children will not reach their 5th birthday. Maternal mortality is staggering, with 1 in every 200 births resulting in a mother's death, compared to just 1 in 5,300 in the US and 1 in 10,000 in Canada. The time to right these inequities is now. Instead of investing in orphanages, which separate families and are detrimental to children's physical and emotional well-being, families deserve to be supported so that they can care for their children in their communities. Simple interventions like care given by midwives before and after pregnancy, nutrition counseling, lactation support can prevent the conditions that separate families, helping mothers survive pregnancy and giving infants a strong start to life. At our Malnutrition Treatment Center, we meet children's immediate need for food and health care through a live-in program. Children and their caregivers are invited into a safe place where they can stay for a few weeks at a time to heal, grow, and learn. Once their children have recovered, we help caregivers start a business and a home garden.
Moi, c'est Docely Caroline. Moi, travaille dans la Fondation 50 000 Haïti depuis 8 ans. Moi, c'est manager. Moi, je vais expliquer en partie le travail 50 000 fait dans le pays d'Haïti pour quelques familles, pour pas dire quelques familles, pour un pile famille dans le pays. Et je vais expliquer les rentrées et les exercices. Les familles rentrées dans le centre premier jour, c'est avec un pile de découragement. Mais après quelques temps dans le centre, ils ont un pile de courage, ils sont contents, ils ont senti la caillou. Si nous nous transformons, nous jouons, nous sourions, et les apexes, c'est comme si nous avons une force, un courage, une famille, nous exprimer et reconnaissance envers simplement ça fait nous contents pour le bel travail Fondation nous fait dans le pays, ça, dans le pays nous Haïti.
On y a eu vraiment normal. Il est vraiment normal parce que là je vais ensemble avec elle, la souris, ils sont marchés.
At our maternity centers, we support mothers and their newborns through midwife-led prenatal care and education, a safe place to give birth and postpartum care that includes a wide variety of family planning methods and breastfeeding support. Through our community programs, we create jobs and provide income-generating opportunities in health education classes.
Et c'est dans petit ça tout me devient plus problème. Me devient plus ça. Si me battre la pour te contrôler ça, pour te voir comment me perdu bébé, me perdu tête moi tout. Me dit nous merci parce que simplement parce que si simple la battre là, journée jeudi, me décage plus problème. Yo bon conseil, me viens là chaque jeudi dans formation et puis simple la donne tout sens.
This is an exciting moment for Second Mile Haiti. After starting our nutrition programs in 2013 and then our maternity programs in 2018, we're now ready to replicate our successful model in a new area in northern Haiti. San Rafael is an agriculture community with about 60,000 residents, and we chose this location after doing a needs assessment that showed us that only 12% of women in the area had given birth to their last child in the presence of a skilled birth attendant, like a nurse or a midwife or a doctor, and only 26% of families had been able to support their infants with proper nutrition in the first year of life. Another 40% of women had already lost one child.
Preparation for the opening of the San Rafael Family Center has been underway since 2020, with a soft opening of our prenatal program in 2021. 2022 will be the first year that all 3 of our programs are fully functioning in this new location. With the help of Together Women Rise, we can make a difference for the women and children of San Rafael. This project will help 350 caregivers and children beat malnutrition and serve 1,200 women through prenatal care, birth, and family planning in the first year. As the saying goes, when women have the bread, everyone eats. Let's ensure that women have what they need to feed themselves and the world. We hope you join us on the journey.
As it said, 2 young women started the program when they were in the early 20s, Amy Sires and Jen Schenk, and they're both located in Haiti at this point in time. And they were both going to be on the program tonight. However, because of internet connections from Haiti to here, they've decided that it was best to make sure that we get a really good interview. And so Amy is the only one with us tonight. So she will be speaking to us shortly. But if you have any questions, please make sure and put them on the chat so that after Amy speaks, she will be able to, and we will be able to answer them. But let me tell you a little bit about Amy. She was born and raised in Northern California. She's a registered nurse with more than 11 years of experience in nonprofit leadership, project management, and monitoring and evaluation. Amy co-founded Second Mile Haiti in 2011 and has served as the organization's program director since 2013. She began living in Haiti full-time in 2010, where she first served as the nurse at an infant care center and later as a site coordinator for Haiti's pediatric HIV testing program. She brings her compassionate nature and love of making people's life easier, as you'll see as she talks, to her work as Second Mile Haiti's program director, where she enjoys working closely with a team of nurses, midwives, managers, and more. Amy, we would love to hear what you have to say about your great program.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the introduction. Yes, all of that's true. I'm here in Haiti and I'm really happy to be here. And we're really excited about being able to partner with Rise. And I know I'll be seeing some of you in chapter meetings later on in the month. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, as you saw from the video, we have 3 main programs. I'll try to give you just as brief as possible an introduction as I can, and then maybe get to what might be more interesting to everybody, which is a few stories. But we do have a malnutrition treatment center where families can come in and receive support for their children to become healthy again, and also to set them up to stay healthy. And so we do. We help families start businesses, home gardens, and these are all things that Rise is going to be supporting throughout the year. But at our other center, just a little bit down the road, is a maternity program. And we started the maternity program with the idea that we could really help prevent some of these cases of severe acute malnutrition by working with families before their babies were born. So we do prenatal care. Women can give birth at the center, as you saw. The funny thing is, the birth in the video, we were actually trying to do the interview with the woman who had given birth before, and we were going to ask a woman if she wanted to maybe go for a walk, because there was a lot of labor noise coming right in that area where we were trying to do this interview. And she was like, "I don't think so, I'm pushing." And so that's why in the interview with the woman that we were talking to, there's a baby crying in the background, because then we're like, well, we're here, we could get a quick little shot of a birth. But so that center is really special to us because it was a dream to be able to see if we could prevent malnutrition and support women from really early on in their journey, and that's happening now. And then our third area is community support. So we do classes for people in the community, and I spoke a little bit about those classes in the interview I did with Vina. But yeah, we do classes for men and women in the community so that we can kind of get some of these messages out, not just women, but to also their partners, and to
What?
young men and grandfathers too in the community. So as I spoke about in the video, this was a very exciting year for us. Despite COVID, in 2020, we were working on building a new center in a new part of Haiti. Our existing centers, the Nutrition Center and the Maternity Center, are just right down the road from each other. But as we've seen our programs be really successful, we felt ready to replicate to a new area of Haiti. So we selected San Rafael. And in the video, I mentioned a little bit about what we learned about that area as we were digging in before we really settled on going there. But in addition to what I shared, there's really no other place for in San Rafael proper, which has 60,000 people, there isn't a hospital or another facility, another birth center where women can give birth with a skilled birth attendant. So they either have to travel very far, which is costly and most people don't, or there's a small clinic in the center of town that's supposed to be offering basic health services. But if a woman shows up to give birth there, they will, help usher that baby into the world, but they're not set up for that. And they don't have the adequate staff or the tools to be doing that either. So when we set out to open our San Rafael Center, we started just with prenatal care first. So that's what's happening at our center now. We started that in April of 2021, and then we opened for births just this past January. And we're getting ready to do the nutrition, rehabilitation, supporting family portion of everything, and also the community classes in the month of May. And we are so very excited about that. In my email from Wendy, she mentioned that many of you might be interested about how COVID affected us. So I can share about that now, or I can share a few stories about maybe some of the women that have come through our program. I don't know what you prefer.
Either one is fine, Amy, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. Well, I suppose I'll start with the stories, and if COVID comes up in the questions, then I'll definitely answer those. So today, before I did this, I sent a WhatsApp message to our program manager at the Haitian Malnutrition Treatment Center, which is just down the road here. And I said, if you had to pick one person that really captures what it's like for a woman's life to be changed by coming to our center, who would you pick? She sent me 3 different emails with 3 different people. So she couldn't pick just one, but one of the caregivers that she mentioned is actually the aunt of a child who was experiencing severe malnutrition at a month old. Her mother died a month after she was born, and the aunt was now caring for this baby and some of her other nieces and nephews, and feeling very, very discouraged, not getting a lot of support from her other family members. And she came to the center with the baby, and we were able to support her with infant formula and getting the baby medical attention right away. And what the staff noticed more than anything else was how after just a few days of seeing the baby improve, this aunt, now mother to this child, the staff couldn't even tell that it wasn't a baby that she had given birth to herself. Just the way the support and encouragement had given her a new view of what was possible for this baby being in her care. And so that's one of the reasons we do what we do, is because we know that there are families who, even if parents pass away, children don't need to end up in orphanages. We can support the other living relatives that naturally take on and care for these children, but can do it with so much more confidence and so much more success if they're given just a little bit of support. And a second story that she sent me, I'll just do 2 and not 3, was of a 20-year-old mother who had come with her first baby. And the baby had severe acute malnutrition, very small, and not doing very well. But the transformation that, again, was most impactful was the transformation of this mother from being very quiet and downcast and sharing with the staff just her feelings of, hopelessness and being very quiet, I guess. The next couple of weeks after she stayed, so families stay at our center Monday through Friday, and they go home on the weekends as caregivers and their children. So after a few days at the center, she starts opening up, and before you know it, she becomes a superstar at the center. If she's a little bit late on a Monday, everyone's asking, where is her name is Ludi. Where is Ludi? Where is Ludi? Because she was able to bring so much joy to everyone else. So the support she received from our nurses and psychologists and educators at our center impacted not just her, but all of these other caregivers. And yeah, she was really able to see her worth. She has a 5th grade education, but describes herself as not being able to read and write. And part of the education that we offer is business skills, how to operate a small business, and what kind of techniques can help you interact with clients or be successful. And so knowing her educational history, the other mothers were kind of giving her a hard time and joking with her, saying that they didn't know whether she'd be able to be successful as a business owner. And part of the business classes is to present to your business. So one day, if she's getting close to the time where she's going to leave the center, she takes stuff from around the center and sets up a business and interacts with clients who are the other caregivers and gets feedback from the staff about how she did. And everybody was blown away by how she was able to operate her business. So yeah, everyone was just really, really happy to see that change in her from quiet and sad to somebody that everybody could rely on to bring a little joy in her life. And of course, her little boy will benefit so much from that as well.
Amy, I love watching your face just light up telling that story. Clearly you are transformed by these women as well. And I get goosebumps listening to you. We have a bunch of questions. So yes, first question is, how has COVID affected your organization and your community?
Yeah, well, right away, one of the things that happened in Haiti is the airports shut down and the border between the Dominican Republic and Haiti was closed, and that stayed closed for quite a while. But as an organization, knowing that we offer these services, these healthcare, vital community services, we right away started stocking up on essential supplies and making plans to go out in the community and spread awareness. So we were able to quickly do a community education campaign, going door to door to neighbors outside of our Cap-Haitian Center, and we installed hand washing stations for 1,000 families. And we're able to kind of get the message about how you could prevent COVID based on what we knew at the time. And interestingly, as cases grew and there was more fear about COVID in Haiti, a lot of healthcare centers noticed that their clients were going down. People weren't going to hospitals. There wasn't a lot of testing happening, and people were afraid to go to the hospital, even if they were legitimately sick with another condition. So a study came out that we were looking at not too long ago that looked at what the difference in service usage was between March of 2020 and June of 2021. They looked at a bunch of different countries, and for Haiti, one of the statistics was that hospital births went down by 25% between those times. And for us, we saw a huge increase. Well, I don't know, huge. Ours went up 22%. There was another set of numbers where visits for prenatal care went down between 7 and 14%, depending on which visit they were looking at, whether it was the first visit or the fourth visit. And ours went up by 40%. So we saw an increase. We were able to handle the increased volume without any problem, but it really emphasized for us how a community facility that's really geared towards women's health and women feel safe, and they felt safe with the precautions that we were taking, that they felt they could continue to pursue their prenatal care and come with their babies after they gave birth and give birth at our center with their support people. So that's kind of how we were impacted, I guess, with increased volume.
You certainly filled a need and built a lot of trust with the women during that time. We have a question about your name. Why did you choose the name Second Mile Haiti?
Yes. Well, for those that don't know my founding story, I guess, and same.
Please share that. I always love hearing founding stories.
Yeah, Jen and I met working at an orphanage. We had both come down for different reasons at different times as volunteers. And I was the nurse at an orphanage that specifically catered to children with severe acute malnutrition. And Jen and I became very close as we worked together to try to talk about what we could do that maybe wasn't an orphanage. How could we help families without them having to give up their children, whether it was the mother or whether it was a grandmother or somebody else caring for the child. So yeah, our nutrition center and the way families come in and stay during the week and the way we have gardens and the way we help women start businesses is all in reaction to this idea that there really needs to be more orphanage alternatives. Now I'm forgetting why. Oh, okay. Yes. About
the name.
Yeah. So we felt like an orphanage was just another example of kind of a Band-Aid on the situation. The the root situation was that families lacked the resources, both knowledge about the condition of malnutrition, but also the physical means to prevent it or to help their child recover if they were to get very sick. A simple case of diarrhea or a really bad cold that lasts for a week can really send a child, like, they become dehydrated, they stop eating. Like, it's a very, it can happen to anyone. And for that to be the cause that drives a family apart, it broke our hearts. So we felt like in walking with caregivers through the recovery, the giving them information, and helping them start a business, that was like the second mile. If giving them, a nutrition supplement or a little bit of money would have been like the first mile. So we chose the name The Second Mile for that reason.
Awesome. Like I say, I love hearing the stories of how these organizations are founded. Is your birthing center available or open? Does it provide 24-hour care?
Yes, it's open 24 hours a day, every day of the year.
Wow.
And we have midwives who are licensed midwives educated in Haiti, and licensed nurses that staff it 24/7. There's always an ambulance, or we have an emergency vehicle. It's not an ambulance, it's a forerunner, but it's an emergency vehicle.
Emergency forerunner.
Yes.
Do you get any support from the Haitian Health Ministry?
We do. We receive all of our family planning supplies from the Ministry of Health and all of our immunizations. So we also do family planning, all methods. Well, not all methods, there are a lot, but we have a variety of methods, IUDs, implants, etc. So we get those from the Ministry of Health as well.
Good. What is the age range of the kids that you treat? Are they all infants, or do you see them up to a certain age? Or
Malnutrition is most common in children under 5, but we do occasionally get an older child. The oldest we've had is 15. Most of the kids and their families are referred from other health centers or other nonprofit organizations. So anytime we have any special case, even if they're not, one of the young infants, we try to see what we can do to help. In that case, if it's an older child, often it's an underlying condition like maybe diabetes or HIV or something else that's going on. So we try to help with that as well.
And how long do the women and their children stay at the center for the sort of the intensive rehab?
Yeah, that usually lasts about 7 weeks on average, 7 to 8. It can definitely be longer, or it can be shorter. It kind of depends. We do support families through if they need acute care at the hospital. We support them through that. So they might spend 2 weeks at the hospital and 4 weeks with us, or they might spend 10 weeks with us, but every weekend they do go home to their families. And so it's a Monday through Friday morning.
And do you help the mothers with their own nutrition so that they can successfully breastfeed?
Yes. So at our maternity center, we screen for malnutrition in the pregnant women, and if they were to meet the criteria, we definitely have nutritional supplements that they would take throughout their pregnancy, that they do take throughout their pregnancy and while they're breastfeeding. And then, of course, if a caregiver is at our nutrition center, we do have children or caregivers who come with multiple children. If they might have one sick one or a couple sick children, they come with all three of their children who are all struggling with malnutrition, or they might have a healthy newborn and a struggling 18-month-old. So yes, and the caregivers get 3 meals a day, and any breastfeeding woman at our center that is caring for a malnourished child as well will also get extra supplements.
Awesome. There are, a number, too many questions for us to probably get to. I'm going to ask one more question, and then if you're able to stay on and respond to a few of these questions on the chat, that would be great. And I will also say, someone asked how you can be contacted to speak at your chapter meeting. For everyone, I just want to make sure you're aware, we do put out a guest speaker list with representatives from our grantees. You can find that on our website under Chapter Resources tab, and the contact information will be there. And every one of our grantees provides at least a couple of people that can go and speak to chapters. So my last question I'm going to ask before we close up here is, do most of the women come on their own to the center, or do the men get involved at all?
Yes, so yes, we've had every year we've had a few fathers where the mother is either has passed away or is unable to, for some reason, come to the center. So we definitely have had dads do this. We also have psychologists who work with, do one-on-one with women every day, just talking and kind of doing a bit of a screening to see if there's any really specific support we can give. So there's times where we see if partners will come in to do some joint kind of counseling together. Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned it. We've definitely been thinking about adding a more regular. Additionally, we've had some recently we've had some groups of dads come at the same time and have chats with our educators and our psychologists, and it's been really interesting and really good. So it is something we'll probably do more of in the future.
Great. All right, I think we're out of time. I'm going to turn it back over to Betty. Betty, are you here?
I think she needs to unmute.
Oh. Unmute, Betty. Well, I'm going to jump in here, and I'm just going to say thank you so much.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted
okay.
finally.
All right. Sorry, Betty.
I couldn't get unmuted. Thank you so much, Amy. That was wonderful. Thank you for joining us to share the fantastic work you're doing in Haiti. We obviously were very interested and are still very interested in what you're doing. We are proud to partner with you and look forward to the impact we will make together. Now I would like to introduce our CEO, Beverly Francis Gibson. You have seen her, you've seen her picture, and now she's going to kick off the next part of our tonight's program. Beverly?
Thank you, Betty. Good evening, everyone. It was actually tremendous for me to be a part of the program tonight and just to hear Amy's story and the tremendous work that you're doing in Haiti. The next part of our program is something we have not done before, but we are very excited to share with you. As you know, April is designated as National Volunteer Month. And here at Together Women Rise, we celebrate Chapter Leader Appreciation Month. We could not do this important work without our dedicated and passionate volunteer chapter leaders and co-leaders. Did you know that we have 646 chapter leaders and co-leaders located in nearly every state across this country? That is amazing. And this month, we are honoring all of our volunteer leaders in the best way we know how by giving back to one of our past grantees. RISE has had a long-standing relationship with Gardens for Health International, or GHI, and we love the work they're doing to combat chronic malnutrition in impoverished communities in Rwanda. So in honor of our chapter leaders, we are purchasing seeds for local indigenous leafy greens, as well as root vegetables, such as carrots and radishes, beets, and onions. The seeds will be used in 16 community gardens that serve as learning grounds about nutrition-sensitive agriculture and a source of seeds for 144 families in Gasabo district of Rwanda. This gift is timely as it will enable GHI to replace seeds in the gardens that were destroyed by heavy rains in January. In addition to this gift, we are pleased to highlight several of our chapters tonight, and we're excited to hear from all of them about the tremendous work that they are doing. But before we get to that, here are a few fun facts about our chapters. So did you know that more than 70% of our chapters are 5 years old or older? We have 48 chapters celebrating their 10-year anniversary. We have 16 chapters that are 15 years old or older. And our original chapter has been going strong for 19 years. We should applaud this and applaud all of your efforts. This type of longevity is a result of the dedication and the commitment of our volunteers. Together, we have made a huge impact since we began, and we have impacted about 2 million women, girls, families, and community members. And I am excited to hear about some of our unique chapters tonight. So at this time, I will turn it over to our amazing Wendy, our Communications and Membership Director, to introduce them. Wendy?
Thank you so much, Beverly. You know, these are just a very small selection of the amazing chapters that we do have. And we hope to do more of this so you can learn more about what's happening in other chapters and maybe get some ideas for what you'd like to do in your own chapter. Or for those of you who are learning about our chapters for the first time, please consider starting your own. Our first chapter is from Sarasota, Florida. They're a pretty new chapter. They only formed last year, right in the midst of a pandemic, and they are a mother-daughter chapter. And they are led by Tina Justice and Linda Van Wouwen. Linda, I hope I said that properly. And I know you also have some of your daughters with you. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Make sure you unmute yourself, and you can tell us who else you might have with you and about your chapter.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much. First of all, we all want to say we're so proud to be part of this amazing organization. So here tonight, I have Tina is here too, Lucy, her daughter, and my daughter, Adeline, and I'm Linda. And I started looking about 2 years ago, and I got in contact with Together Women Rise, or Dining for Women, as it was then. And I totally fell in love. I said, oh my gosh, this is really what I want to do. But it created like a dream that I would like to involve my daughters. So there it started. And I was looking for a long time for an amazing co-leader that I heard, you need to have one. And everyone I talked to, they said, you're crazy, we're too busy, we have kids, we're driving, we're doing. And because that's the age we're in and we have, but I still kept my hope to find one. And one day I found Tina and she said, yes, let's do it. That sounds awesome. So that's how we started last summer. And so we're small chapters still. but so we're the core with like 2 other moms, and then we have about 3 other families coming and going, and we would like to grow. And I will leave it over now to Tina to tell a little bit more, but that's how we started. And
thank you, Linda. I'm very happy that Linda found me and that we are together doing this. We're just super excited. Linda said about our families a little bit, and I'm actually gonna just jump into, why I think we're successful, and we will be bringing in additional members as time goes on and people learn more about us, because we're working locally and we are working with our families, and you don't get that chance all the time to work with your daughters. And we're open to, if people want to have their sons come along, that's great too. But you don't get that chance. You don't get the chance to work locally for a global cause. And so you're bringing these global issues to the young people, and they're helping us with the fundraising, because our chapter is really about fundraising, not just the dining and kind of the traditional dining for women model, but actually doing different things. And we're going to do a walkathon, and we're doing some other things. The girls are making bracelets so that we can try to sell those with inspirational messages. So very exciting stuff. And then I'm going to turn it over to the girls so they can add a little bit more.
how our meetings look like. We usually meet once a month at least. And then sometimes we add on like a little Zoom mom meeting or so. And the girls are actually, they have like a little club on Fridays in school where they making bracelets, that's all. And they, they want to create this to be able to sell so we can use it. So, and they meet, but you can go ahead and talk about other things. Yeah.
So when we meet, we usually present the PowerPoints, and it's usually us kids who present them, and we talk about it and we learn about it together and ask questions and get more informed about the issues.
And we respond to the questions too, like in the PowerPoints that they have and we present. And my mom and Lynn, they mentioned we have a club at our school where we try, like, we make bracelets. We meet every month, every week, every Friday, and we try to make bracelets to that we then hope to sell to like the students and try to spread the message of Together We Rise, and also to just fundraise. So,
and then the money then goes to Together We Rise. And so we're trying to like get all the students at our school informed about this issue and this amazing club and the Together We Rise. Yeah, the cause.
How old are you girls? How old are you girls?
14. Yeah.
14. Thank you so much. What a great idea, mother-daughter chapter. I think that's awesome. So from one of our newer chapters to one of our longest running chapters, 16 years old. It's the longest running chapter outside of Greenville, South Carolina, where Together Women Rise began. I want to introduce Barb Harris, who is from the Wheaton, Illinois chapter, is their official name, although she can tell you more specifically where they are outside of Chicago. They began in March of 2006. And I know Barb is going to speak, but there are other members here on the Zoom. Please wave if you're from Barb's chapter. Hi, Barb.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. Can you see me or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we are the Wheaton 1 chapter, and we are 16 years old. We're just west of Chicago. So we started out in 2005. I read an article in Women's Day, and that was the end of 2005. And I decided in that year, I lost my brother and my mother. So I wanted to honor them in a certain way. And when I read about dining for women back in 2005, I said, this is it. This is the way I'm going to honor them. And I called up my friend and I said, this is the next thing we're doing. That's it. So she joined me. And so for, for about 3 or 4 years, I did have a co-leader. But she left to open a yoga studio. So I've been on my own for most of the time. So we decided to meet on a monthly basis and in each other's homes. Occasionally we did meet at Whole Foods store until they said we could not have wine with our meals. And we said, no, that's not going to work. That will not work. So we went back to going into each other's houses. And we have dinner meetings at 6:30 in the evening. And the person who's hosting it does the main dish. And then everybody brings wine and appetizers and desserts. And we start out with appetizers and wine, of course, while we wait for everybody to come. And then we sit down and I present the program. And since I'm a teacher by trade, I don't mind doing that and talking and presenting the program. And then after that, we have dinner. And we've gone to every other month. In the last maybe 3 years, maybe every other month, and it hasn't dampened our enthusiasm at all. And
oh, we can't hear you, Barb. Barb, we can't hear you.
Together now, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, so what do the members love about the chapter? Their chapter, I think it's about connection with each other, and everyone is committed to the goal, the wonderful goals of RISE and how it continues to support women all over the world. But maybe you can ask one of the members what they love about their chapter.
Well, they've been putting a few things in the chat, Barb, and what they love about it is you. You're amazing, and that you are the glue that keeps the chapter together.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. They keep it going for me, and I love being together with them and seeing how much money we can raise. And through the years, we've had a number of events for sure to raise money. So,
well,
thank
Barb also served as one of our volunteer regional leaders. So I go way back. I think I met she was one of the first members and chapter leaders I met. Thank you so much, Barb. And
thank you.
Illinois Wheaton 1 chapter.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up is a group from St. Louis, Missouri. And they are about a 3-year-old chapter, began in 2019. And I have had some very nice conversations with Sharon Bauer, one of the chapter leaders, about how wonderfully diverse her chapter is, with many different races and religions. And she's just such an enthusiastic chapter leader. And she's got a wonderful co-leader as well, Barbara. Is it Ennis?
Yes.
Yay, I said it right. All right, and I think you've got a whole gang there with you. So we look forward to hearing about your chapter.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Yes, this is the anniversary right now, and we're celebrating tonight. And I heard about this, it was word of mouth from a friend. We're waiting for the picture to change.
You're up.
Oh, there we go. All right, so I will continue. So word of mouth is how I heard about it from somebody close by. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but we're
And
not
see you.
spotlighted. We need to be spotlighted.
And the minute I heard her talking about her chapter, I knew I found the vehicle to do several things I wanted to do, which is to pull a group of diverse women together with a purpose to do good and build a sense of community, which has happened. We formed a community that's excited, and we're from age 30 to 80. We're ethnically diverse and religiously diverse, having people from Jewish religion, from Muslim religions, and Christian religions. And several people now are going to tell you a little bit about things we do. Maxine?
I love being part of RISE. It gives me a chance to not only help women in developing countries, but also gather with some of the very best people who all happen to be great cooks. I'm a vegetarian, but on the second Monday evening of every month, we are all vegetarians. At our monthly dinners, we don't fool with money as we all have automatic payments. This gives us plenty of time to discuss what extraordinary things RISE is doing to help empower disadvantaged women and for us to just enjoy one another. There's a lot of fun and laughter in this group.
Thank you. There are 11 of us. We're a small group, but we're mighty. Linda?
Yes, one of the things I love most, of course, each month we get the information on the new grantee. And I have to admit, I go to the customs and cuisine page because I do love to cook. And your recipes are really inspirational. Although I admit I wing it a bit. Tonight, I just knew we'd have to do the Haitian national dish of rice and red beans. So we will share that later, which is what we love most, to share in gratitude for all of you women out there.
And each time we gather, which is every month at someone's home, we circle around the table. And Shay?
We circle around the table, and I'll never forget the very first time we met at Sharon's lovely condo. We passed out the sheets with the blessing. And together we read it, and it was just so touching, and I was moved, and it brought a tear to my eye and also to Sharon's eye. So we shared the blessing together. As we share food, we share something of ourselves, and we honor each other. May we all be able to feast together someday. In our group, we just have a compassion and a connection to these women that we serve. And a little drinking goes on at our meetings, but I'm not supposed to say that. Had to behave.
Well, we always have a lively discussion about the grantee, and we show and pass around a map that we have put pins in everywhere there is a grantee, and you can see the spread of RISE across the globe, which is important. And Sarah has some thoughts.
I really enjoy this group because I can't think of another space or context in which people across all ages can come together. One of the things that we do after we discuss the grantees is sometimes we'll have different discussion topics. So in the past, we've talked about our college experiences, things like our first kiss, and it's fun because we're all different ages and we're all learning from each other, and it's a great way to connect across generations.
Thank you. And we're just hoping to spread the word about this magnificent organization because it came to us by word of mouth. So the more we talk out there about what's going on, the more chances there are going to be to have new chapters to join this organization. So we say rise, St. Louis. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was awesome. It's almost, I had nothing to do with planning what each of these chapters said. So the fact that you're all, it's just fitting together so nicely. The next group I want to introduce is a fabulous 9-year-old chapter in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they're going to tell us about a little spin-off activity they've created, a study group that they have within their chapter. And this chapter is led by Marianne Schiller, Cheryl Boyd, and Harriet Williams. And I'll let you all decide who's going to speak first or speak at all.
I'm just going to do the whole thing.
Way to go. Way to go.
Okay. Yeah. Harriet is on another Zoom and Cheryl's a little under the weather, but she'll be fine. Good evening, everybody. We live in a NORC. You might know what that means, but it was new to me when I moved here 10 years ago. And it means a naturally occurring retirement community. We are not an organized over 55 place. We're just a big high rise in the city, but we just tend to have older people here. We have young people too. But what happened is, again, by word of mouth, two friends here, heard about this organization through different sources, and just as new people here said, hey, let's try to meet people and let's start a chapter. 9 years ago, we had no long-term plans. We had no real major concept of community building and all that. But we are $125,000 plus later, and we are astounded at what we were able to do by meeting wonderful people and having dinner and conversations all these years. The best thing about it is we all live here. So we carry food on the elevator and wine, and we have become a community within our community. And wonderful person who happens to be on this call tonight, or the Zoom, Mary Ellen Graham, is in our chapter. And she was interested a few years ago of joining the committee, the National Committee of Grant Selections. And what happened was she started to train for that, started reading intensely about population problems, women issues, development concerns, all that. There's a tremendous literature out there that we didn't know about. And a couple of us said, well, tell us about it. Organically, over 3 or 4 meetings, we started a study group to study under her. And then eventually she got involved with the committee and other things. And we don't have one leader. We have 9 people who have stayed with it for the last 4 years. We had 10, 1 dropped out. She's still with our group, but she's not in the study group. What do? Well, we meet about 7 or 8 times a year. We make sure everyone can come. So it's not a regular set every 3rd month or every Tuesday or something like that, every 2nd Tuesday or something like that. But we meet, we read books. Many of them have been from the organized book club that Wendy does, but many of them aren't. We read articles. When Afghanistan fell apart, we read news articles that we shared with each other before the meeting, and then we discussed women's status in Afghanistan during that crisis and after. We watch TED Talks that somebody finds. That we're going to meet tomorrow and look at a TED Talk from a judge, a female judge from India, who talks about inheritance versus dowries there. We watch movies, we watch documentaries. We're planning on looking at the documentary you might have heard of related to a women journalist in India that was nominated, didn't win, but it was nominated for an Oscar this last week. So we find different materials that we discuss. One of the books we loved was Melinda Gates' book. We took 2 sessions to discuss that. We found it very accessible and very fascinating, and this is before the divorce, but it's still a very good book. So that's what happened. We grew organically. We meet regularly. And when I asked the folks in preparation for this meeting tonight, and also we're going to be in the blog or in the chapter leaders
newsletter. Yep.
Newsletter. Thank you. That comes out in May with information and contact from me in case you want more information on this. But when I asked people from the group to write things up about what they enjoyed, of course, they talked about community building and learning, but they also talked about how this is a safe place to discuss their feelings, to process information, to learn from each other, see different points of view, to dive much deeper into the issues, and that they probably never would have watched these films or read these books without this supportive group. And it's really, in addition to helping us feel more connected and more committed, we feel informally, but we have elevated the conversation at the regular meetings where the other 80% of our chapter people are. And it's been a very wonderful experience. If you are interested in some of the things we looked at or some other questions you might have, you can contact me. And Wendy, you'll put my email on that newsletter perhaps, but it's maschiller@comcast.net. So if you're interested, we might be able to give you some ideas or even a list of the things we've liked particularly and read and discussed. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marianne. And it just goes to show you how you can, the breadth of this organization. As you were speaking about this, the movie that you're going to watch about the judge in India, someone all the way over in Washington State was giving us the title, Writing with Fire is the movie about women journalists in India. So
right.
I love that, how.
Right, but just the TED Talk is Layla Seth.
Oh, sorry,
Not, yes. This is the documentary, Writing with Fire. That's it.
I just thought that was
That's
so
right.
cool that, we can kind of riff off each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you again.
All right, but if anybody, but if anyone is interested at all in starting something like this, please give us a shout. We'll try to help. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, I have a relatively new chapter once again in La Jolla, California. It is an intergenerational chapter, members from age 25 to 80. And if you saw the email we put out yesterday, that lovely picture of them meeting on the beach, that was this chapter. I was very jealous. And they're led by Susan Lieberman, Janice Crispios, and Alana Carmel. And I'll turn it over to them.
Hi, ladies. These are all going to be tough ones to follow. I was so excited hearing all the introductions, and I think it's a testament to Together Women Rise that everybody's chapter is ethnically and racially and religiously and all these things diverse, but also all of the ideas and the ways that you all bring yourselves together are very different from the way that we do things and other chapters do things. So really excited to hear that. And the Missouri chapter, a lot of what you said resonates with us because we are indeed also an intergenerational chapter. A little bit about my story, which is slightly different than Janet and Susan, who are also on the call here. So I came from DC and I co-led a chapter in DC. And when I moved to San Diego, which is where we are now, I was looking to create community here. And I thought Together Women Rise, then Dining for Women would be a great way to do so. And I wanted to create an intergenerational chapter. And it just so happened that Janet and Susan were also looking to create a chapter. So the universe was listening to us and we met in 2019 and decided to form a chapter. We only had a few meetings right before COVID started, but fortunately for us, we were able to quickly build momentum. We're able to be really adaptable to changing circumstances, that being COVID. So we've all had to adapt, but now we're a group of about 30 something women. That's the number of women who are on our listserv. There are women who stay consistent and women who come and go throughout various meetings. So we're consistently about 10 women at every meeting, but we're diverse in age. As you heard, we're also ethnically diverse, linguistically diverse. We have very diverse backgrounds. So it's a wonderful group to be a part of. And our conversation is just as wide ranging as our backgrounds and really always comes back to women's empowerment, education, healthcare, and a variety of other topics that come up as they address the issues that are covered in the grantees for Together Women Rise. Almost called it Dining for Women again. I think the way that we attract attention and we're able to continue our momentum is the way that we are able to connect to one another. So in every meeting, we start off with a way to ground and genuinely get to know each other, usually through the form of some kind of icebreaker. So this past meeting, as we were kicked off, we met on the beach, we did a bonfire, we had a potluck on the bonfire, around the bonfire, luckily not on the bonfire, that would be kind of catastrophic. And we went around and talked about something that we were grateful for. We passed around this book and everybody picked one item in the book. There were 40,000 items and you would open a random page and select one thing and everybody shared a story. And that took about an hour for us to all get to know each other. And organically, it kind of weaved into economic empowerment for women. And then we went into talking about the grantee. So each meeting, there's a different way for us to really get to know each other, and it keeps us really connected and learning from each other, and also keeps people coming back. So thanks so much. And Janet and Susan are my fearless team. They do so much work as well. So thank you so much. It's been really rewarding.
Janet and Susan, if you want to give a wave, let everybody know that, because I know you're here as well. There you are. Thank you so much. And let's just get back to that meeting on the beach. That sounds pretty awesome. All right, next up is another unique chapter. It is a college chapter at Anna Maria College, and it is a group of nursing students that has been going on since 2015 with different classes. And I'm going to ask Karen, and Karen, please say your last name because I know I'm going to mess it up.
Cianci. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Karen. We had a little concern about whether she'd be able to join us tonight. I'm happy to see you here. Tell us about your chapter.
Thank you. Yes. Hi. Hello. Nice to be here tonight. My name is Karen Cianci, and I'm a tenured associate professor at Anna Maria College in Paxton, Massachusetts. And I basically inherited this chapter. It's not that old, I know, but the former teacher initiated the chapter because she taught community health nursing. That professor left, and I have my master's in community health nursing. So then I took on that course, and I just kept going on with, at the time, Dining for Women. And I only had it in one of my classes. We would meet every month on the guarantee. The students have to do a presentation. I put them in groups. They do a presentation every month. Well, then I said, no, I'm going to expand this even into my the senior students do this, and they do that even in the spring semester in their capstone senior seminar. So we do each month, we do the guarantees for the fall semester and then the spring semester. So from September to April, we are looking at all of the featured guarantees. They love looking at the recipes, and they've brought in several ones. Now, of course, because of COVID, we've been having to, meet. We weren't able to have any food in class and everything. And, people had to have masks on, and there was a restriction. So we're hoping that next year we will be able to have, the food in the class. And last night we actually had our 7th annual event with the Nurses Society. I'm also the president of the Iota Phi chapter through Sigma Theta Tau International. And Rita and Barb, who are here tonight, they saw that presentation last night on the second mile Haiti, our presentation tonight. And I said, and my video didn't work. And so I'm glad they could see the video because my only audio worked. And so they got to see the video tonight. So that worked out good. And so my students, it varies between about 30 to 40. And like I said, we meet monthly. And so typically it's part of their curriculum that they do a presentation on the country that is featured, and they bring in the featured guarantee for the month and do a presentation on that. What they like about it is, I think the best part is, interestingly enough, is making the different recipes that are on the website and sharing that. and also learning about the different countries and how I also teach women's health. I teach that in the fall. And so it just connects really, really well with the curriculum at the college, and it's supported by the dean. In fact, the president has even often come and welcomed everybody to this annual event. And it's a CEU, continuing education unit, where I invite also the all of New England for Region 15 of the nurses, so that they can get continuing education as well. So, and hopefully maybe next year we'll be able to have food and have it back at the college on campus. You know, we had to have it on Zoom last night, but this has been I can't believe, 7th annual event. And so we're continuing to go strong with that. And I attended the retreat, I remember, in Great Barrington, which was really a lot of fun. And I really got to meet a lot of people there. And that really got me connected. And I had to investigate and research and understand what Dining for Women was and understand the mission. And so I've learned a lot along the way. And so thank you.
Well, and Karen, I think your former mentor, Leslie Heilig, and the host of your retreat that you attended, just said that she's thrilled to hear that you're continuing the chapter and very successful. So you can say hi to her in the chat if you like. Our last chapter that we're featuring tonight is another really special one. This is a 5-year-old chapter in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I think you can truly say this is the epitome of diverse chapters, because they have members that are actually from, I'm counting at least 9 different countries, I think, Cindy and Lindley. And their members are also quite involved in refugee issues in their area. So excited to hear more about the Greensboro chapter.
Thank you. We're excited to be here. And also it's just been so great listening to all the other chapters. We've got some great ideas now. That map was fabulous. We're going to use that in one of our next meetings. I loved it. So I'm Lindley, and I'm here with Cindy, the leader, and I'm the co-leader. And one of also our members is Vicky. If you want to say hello. And we're all scrunched in here, but we started, let's see, Cindy brought me into the group in 2018, and she actually, she started Together Women Rising chapter in 2013. And ours is chapter 10. Is that right? Or in 2017?
Well, I joined in 2013.
She joined, that's right.
Started our own chapter in 2017.
In 2017. So we have 62 people on our roster, and 23 of those are from 17 countries. And 16 of us work with refugees in some kind of capacity. In fact, some great news is that one of our members from Syria, she just got her citizenship last week. So we were very excited for her. There's been in Greensboro a lot, just like all around the United States, but especially right now in Greensboro, there's been about over 300 Afghans that have fled and come to Greensboro, and we have been working to volunteer and to help resettle a lot of the families and individuals. When we were talking about the flow of our meetings and stuff, typically we come together at a different person's house every month. There's usually, even though we have 62 people on our roster, we have at least 16 to 20 people that have kind of come continuously. And we just get to know each other when everyone comes in, and we talk about just what's going on. And what's really neat is that what I think that really sets us apart is that we usually, or I would say probably almost all of our meetings, we have had somebody come speak from the country that we're discussing. So they're originally from that country that we're discussing that month. And that really brings it home to us and gives just a different perspective and makes it more real. And we can really connect with that person and hear their stories too, as we're learning about the project from that month. And when we talk about with all the different members of our group about what they really enjoy about it, I think that that connection that we've heard from so many of the other women speaking, and also just that sense of safety and a welcoming environment has been really important. And because we do food, we have food here. What's really cool is that we get to enjoy so many different dishes from all these different cultures in one kind of space. So that's been really fun to get to eat some things that I might not have ever tried before, and just to hear all the stories. So we have just really enjoyed it. We really enjoy learning about all the different projects and being able to do something to give back, and especially for women and families. It's just so important. And just, during COVID, when it was so hard for anyone to get together, we were still able to meet over Zoom, but it really was not the same. So we were really excited to be meeting in person again. So it's been wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, all of you, for sharing. I was going to say, with that many different countries represented, I'm sure you have wonderful food at your meetings, and want to get back to that. So I want to thank everybody for staying a little longer than we normally do. And you really did hang in there. I could tell how much you were all enjoying the different chapter presentations. I want to do more of this. I want to hear about your own chapters, those of you who maybe were listening, because you all have your own unique stories and your special connections. So please stay tuned for more of this. It really went well. So Betty, I'll turn it back to you to wrap up.
Okay. Thanks. If you'll spend just another few minutes with us, we'd really appreciate it. Together Women Rise depends on your donations to fund projects like the one you learned about tonight, as well as all of our education and engagement activities. You can go to our website, togetherwomenrise.org, to make a single donation or set up monthly giving and support Together Women Rise's work all year round. This will help us make a bigger impact. Let's talk a little bit about upcoming events. Our next advocacy group webinar will be Tuesday, April 19th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Our next book club event will be June 8th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's a different time than usual because we're honored to have the author Abby Dare join us from her home in the UK. We'll be discussing the book, The Girl with the Louding Voice. And I've read it and I can tell you it's absolutely fantastic. And we want to make sure you know about our website, that the information about upcoming events is on the website under the Join Us tab. You'll be able to learn more, know about the upcoming events. You can register for events there and access past event recordings. It's been a really enjoyable evening. It's for me, and I hope for you. The chapters that we heard about are absolutely amazing. As we know, there are many, many more of those in the 386 chapters that exist. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next month. Good night.